Good morning. I'm going to go on about the paper mill for a while. Roaring Spring is my bigger subject, and then the paper mill, and of course Frank's school is the biggest, I guess. Anyway, about the paper mill, there are some ideas that I want to plant into those people who are going to be making the decisions about what happens there. They're ideas that they would never think of because they're coming from abroad. They're coming from uh, sources that they would simply not be exposed to. I've traveled a lot in my past, and I've always uh, studied things. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a subsequent video, which is going to come pretty soon, I think. Uh, I've just got to sort out how to go about this. But I will name three things that I think they should consider. One, I've mentioned it before, they should put back a water wheel where the original water wheel was. It doesn't have to be a replica, but they should do that for the community, for the education, and for tourism. I've been searching this stuff, and the economy of Altoona, especially in this area, is in quite distress because of the loss of industries, and they have these hopes for tourism. Well, Roaring Spring absolutely could be a tourist mecca. I'm sure of it. Uh, and the easiest thing to do first, other than cleaning up the paper mill, which is happening, would be to restore the water wheel. It was a very big water wheel, and the parking lot is such that you could stand right there and watch it turn. You could, you wouldn't even have to drive there. I mean, people could do it. I'll tell you more about that. I think I'm tempted to just leap into that subject right now, but I've got two others that I'm going to mention. Each one is a bigger deal. The water wheel, that could be done. That wouldn't even have to cost that much. I've thought I could probably do it myself with pick and shovel in a year's time, no money. I could probably do that. But now comes harder things. Uh, I think they should build what's called a hydraulic or water-powered funicular. Now, funicular, F-U-N-I-C-U-L-A-R, funicular. Most people maybe don't even know what that is. It's like an incline. It'd be an inclined plane, I think, but it's water-powered. And I have ridden one. I've seen one. I've been on the oldest one in the world. Uh, and I'll tell you more about that. But the components are right there to build. If it had to be just a small model of one, but ideally, and now we're talking bigger money, ideally it would be able to carry people, and it's like an elevator. But the thing is, it's water powered, and the water, it's right there. That this is all about that water that's in Roaring Spring. Now to do that, you would have to you'd have to work with the water from the spring after it got past the railroad track, underneath the train. There is a culvert there, so getting the water, you couldn't get the water high enough. But I'll tell you more about that later too. But anyway, I'll call it a water-powered funicular. And I'll give you links about these, but I think maybe not just yet. And the third thing is I believe there are some major issues there about the cleanup. How to go about cleaning up not just the scrap and the steel and all that kind of stuff, but the chemicals, the stain that's there from 100 years of a paper mill. And my suggestion there, and this, now I'm reaching out here, to consider permaculture. Permaculture. That's a key word. People love that word right now. Not doing it with other chemicals, but letting nature, helping nature to do it. With that water, basically, what I'm suggesting is turning the whole site into a garden. Not for food. People aren't going to be wanting to, they're not going to trust food that's grown in a place like that. But as a botanical garden. Those three things, the water wheel, just for beauty, or, well, it would use power. It'd have to use power, because if it freewheeled, it would throw water all over the town. The water wheel, at least a show of what a water-powered funicular could be, and a botanical garden. Huge. Those would be a tremendous draw to tourists, I think. Better than boating around on Lake Raystown, or probably even hiking and stuff. So there are the three ideas, and I'm going to go into them, maybe each one in its own video, which won't have to be very long. But I would like people, especially people in Roaring Spring, to think about these things, because they're going to, I think their elected officials are going to have to come up with a decision about what to allow to happen to that land. Bye for now.